Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into one of the world's most, well, prestigious, but also sometimes pretty mysterious awards, the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right. And if you've ever asked, who actually decides, how strictly do they even follow those old 19th century rules? And let's be honest, how much politics gets mixed in?
Exactly. We've gathered the key details to really unpack that for you.
Yeah, our mission here is to get a quick, solid understanding of how the 2025 prize works. The winner gets announced October 10th, live from Oslo.
And then the big ceremony is December 10th. That's the anniversary of Alfred Nobel's death.
That's the day they get the medal, the diploma, and, wow, 11 million Swedish crowns.
Which is roughly, what, 1.19 million US dollars?
Yep, somewhere on there. A significant sum awarded for peacemaking efforts.
It really is. So, okay, if it's such a huge deal on the world stage, who exactly has the final say? Who picks the winner?
Well, that's the job of the Norwegian Nobel Committee. It's a group of 5 people.
Just 5?
It's just 5. And here's where it gets interesting. Politically speaking, they're appointed by the Norwegian parliament.
Ah, okay. So their appointment reflects the political makeup of the parliament at the time.
Precisely. The balance of power in the parliament tends to shape who gets onto the committee. So there's this sort of subtle political undercurrent right from the start.
Even if they operate independently once appointed.
Legally, yes, they're independent. But, someone appointed when the parliament leans left might view peace slightly differently than someone appointed during a right-leaning period. It can subtly influence things.
Okay, that makes sense. So going back to the very beginning, what did Alfred Nobel himself actually want? What did his will from 1895 say?
His original instructions were quite specific to his time, really. He said the prize should go to the person who has done the most or best to advance fellowship among nations.
Okay, fellowship among nations.
The abolition or reduction of standing armies and the establishment and promotion of peace congresses.
Right, abolishing armies, promoting peace talks. That sounds very 19th century.
It does. And that's the key tension, isn't it? Because as the committee's own secretary has said, the award needs to be placed in the current context.
So they have to interpret those old rules for today's world.
Exactly. Fellowship among nations now gets stretched to cover things like, say, climate change action or promoting democracy. Things Nobel probably didn't explicitly envision.
Which seems pretty necessary if you look at some recent winners, like environmental groups or even the EU. They don't exactly fit the abolishing armies part.
Not directly, no. It shows how they adapt to stay relevant.
Okay, so the mandate's flexible. Let's talk about the process itself. Who actually gets to suggest names? I heard the list of people who can nominate is quite large.
Oh, it is. It's surprisingly broad. You've got heads of state, current government ministers, members of parliaments.
University professors, too, right, in certain fields?
Yep. Professors of things like history, social sciences, law, philosophy, and former Peace Prize laureates, of course. They can all submit nominations.
And the deadline is notoriously strict.
Very. January 31st is the cutoff for nominations to be formally submitted.
But there's a little wiggle room for the committee members themselves.
Just a bit. The committee members can add their own suggestions right up until their first meeting, which is usually sometime in February.
Ah, the insider track.
Sort of. After that deadline, they compile everything, create a short list over the next few months, and then eventually select the winner, usually by consensus.
And the full list of nominees stays secret for 50 years, which just fuels all the speculation every year.
Absolutely. Though sometimes nominators announce who they've put forward. For this year, we know names like the International Criminal Court, NATO, and the Hong Kong activist Chow Hang-tung have been mentioned.
NATO is interesting given the historical focus on disarmament, especially after the 2024 prize went to Nihon Hidankyo.
The Japanese atomic bomb survivors group, yeah. That choice definitely signaled the committee's ongoing concern about nuclear weapons. These disclosed names often give clues.
Okay, speaking of nominations in politics, we should probably touch on the recent U.S. president situation. Donald Trump. Some leaders said they nominated him.
That's right. Leaders from places like Cambodia, Israel, Pakistan, they did publicly state they nominated him.
But were those valid nominations for the 2025 prize?
No, they weren't, actually. They came in after that strict January 31st deadline.
So invalid for this year. It sounds like sometimes nominations are more about making a political statement than actually aiming for the prize itself.
That definitely happens. It gets attention. But regarding his general eligibility, what did the Nobel experts say? Impartially, of course.
Well, reporting impartially, the consensus among experts seems to be that He'd likely only be a serious contender if there was a significant shift in his policies.
Because,
Because the concern, as they state it, is that some of his current stances are seen as potentially dismantling parts of the international order, which runs counter to that core idea of fellowship among nations.
right, a direct clash with the prize's fundamental goals, essentially.
So wrapping this up then, what's the big takeaway here? It seems the whole selection is this really delicate balancing act.
It really is. You've got this 19th century vision from Nobel's will.
Clashing or maybe adapting to the complex realities of 21st century global politics?
Yeah, and it's all steered by this small, politically influenced Norwegian committee working within these strict but slightly flexible rules.
Okay, so here's something to think about, a final thought for you listening. If the prize has to address the current context, how much importance should that committee give to Nobel's original point about, say, reducing armies?
Compared to the broader idea of promoting fellowship, which of those original pillars do you think holds more weight or should hold more weight in the world we live in today?
Hmm.
Something to ponder.